Hi, everyone, and welcome to El Camino People, the podcast. Today, we have one of the lucky pilgrims that was able to walk. And this was, right now I have a huge problem with times because last year it seems like it wasn't last year. So you do walk the Camino in 2020, no?
2020, September 2020, yeah.
So one of the few that was walking the Camino at the time.
The feeling was quite weird, and in the same time, I felt really lucky because I was quite alone, it wasn't jam-packed, so I did enjoy a lot that time to walk the Camino.
So sorry I didn't introduce you properly. You are Gaelle, you are from France and you walk the Camino, but you have a beautiful story behind your Camino. And you also walked your Camino with your little dog.
Yeah, exactly. With Cut, my Jack Russell.
And there's right now one of the things that we are seeing now every day more and more people walking the Camino. And it's funny because today is one of my dear good friends. He has a website. It's called what? It's about walking with dogs and doing things with dogs. And she was the first one that wrote a guide for the Camino, Turismo Canino. And she
Oh,
wrote a guide to walk the Camino with dogs in all, hotel with pet friendly. And I know that right now people are going to be more and more getting into that. And we'll see how the Camino evolves because right now with the whole new COVID plus people going with animals, and this year is going to be quite interesting on seeing how the Camino reacts to all of this.
oh, yeah. Actually, walking the Camino with my dog was such an experience, but I'm used to travel with the dog, so I was expecting most of the thing who happened all along the way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's possible, I think it's possible, and everything is possible as long as you want it.
And I agree. If you research it and people looking, you may not be able to sleep one day in one place, but the Camino will always have a bed ready for you, even if it's, just
Yeah.
the front of a
Oh
church if
yeah.
you are open for it. But
Yeah. Oh, I had people offering me a bed, very gently, like super easily, even with my dog. So
yeah.
you always will find
And I
good
think right now
people on the way.
with the whole COVID and everything is one of the things that now maybe we need to start making more calls than in the old days, to the albergue to let them know that we are coming, because the situation, at least for this year, in the old days, you know that you weren't in some of the albergues, you weren't even able to make reservations, but now things are going to change. The Junta is making an app so the albergues can be ready and people can know, because imagine if you go to an albergue and now the beds are much less than they used to be. So at least we can know ahead what is going to happen, and there's not going to be those lines waiting. So new times, new things, and just I always say make a call to the hospitalero, to the albergue, to the hotel, let them know that you are coming. And even on the same day, you don't need to plan 1 month ahead, but on the day it's always nice for whoever is waiting for there for you, because there's people waiting, and as you say in your Camino, there was always place for you, no?
Oh yeah, there is always a place for me, and I had no problem sleeping all along the way, even if sometimes I had to pick up the tent,
Yeah.
um, for some reason. But most of the time, people are okay to, yeah, there is place for you everywhere.
And that's one thing we need to do one day, a live with all of you guys that walk the Camino with the tent, because the regulations here in Spain is a little weird and a lot of people ask how we do it. And there is some rules. So maybe we'll invite you another day so we can talk with more people.
I'm sorry, it's just cutting a little bit. Can you say that
Oh,
again
yeah.
slowly?
I'm saying that, oh, don't worry, that a lot of people is asking now about doing the Camino with the tent, because of the COVID
Yeah.
situation and a lot of people with animals, and because the regulations in Spain are different. Maybe one day we can
Mhm.
get a couple of, MBTs like you that walk the Camino with the tent and they do a mix, so you can explain how was
Yeah.
your Camino, and what that will be in the upcoming. We'll have to call you another day.
Oh yeah, no problem. With pleasure.
So do we always start with a 1 minute questionnaire. So are you ready?
Oh, I am ready. I hope so.
Okay, so here we go. Your first Camino.
Yeah.
How many Caminos?
Oh my God, I've done Via Tolosana, Camino del Norte, and Camino Inglés. So I would say four.
One city.
Um, Bilbao.
One meal.
Oh my God. I would say, oh, the last portion.
A song.
A song. Saturday Night Fever.
A happy moment.
A happy moment. My last night.
A color.
A color green.
One
Everything was so
smell.
green.
A smell.
What? Oh, smell. The smell of a nut.
Coffee with milk or espresso?
Espresso.
Apple or Android?
A what?
Apple or Android, your phone.
Oh,
And one drink.
water. So much water.
So anyway, your Camino was different because of the time you did it, but we always start with the same question to all of our invitees here in the podcast. How and when did you find out about the Camino de Santiago?
Okay, I don't really know when I find the Camino de Santiago, because I think we all know the Camino de Santiago. I'm living in the south of France, so I guess it's pretty close. And I don't know, I heard about it really early in my life, and I also have the Camino coming, like passing through my town. Well, actually, Camino can pass through everywhere,
Yeah, but the main
obviously.
Caminos, no?
Yeah. But I actually discovered that there is not just one Camino doing it. So
Oh,
that was
that's
weird,
one
but
thing.
I
Like people
discovered it.
believe that the main Caminos in Europe, there's the
Mm,
Frances and the Norte, but once you cross the border of the Pyrenees, it's incredible the network of Caminos,
yeah,
because then they start mixing with other Caminos, with the Via, as you say, the Via Tolosana, the Via Francigena. Every country has his own independent Caminos. So Europe is just a huge network of incredible
yeah.
Caminos. I think there was someone right now this summer that is going to be walking from Hungary or Czechoslovakia or somewhere
Wow.
like. And the farthest one that I know that has been, keep track of, from Russia.
Wow. Oh my God. That's
Yep.
crazy. I don't know what people think when they discover that, but I felt so selfish when I discovered that. I thought that there is just one Camino passing through my town, and I finally discovered that there is Camino everywhere. I was like, you are so selfish. This is so weird.
But I guess it's that life, no? When you discover that your mom is all your life saying, "Oh, you're the most beautiful child," and then you discover that you're not, you're ugly, and there's more beautiful child out there.
Exactly.
So when do you believe that was the first time that even if, as you say, for us Spanish and French, the Camino is part of our daily basic life.
Yeah.
We study, we live, we know about it, we shoot the cells. But still, I don't know if you're in Europe, your friends, most of my friends haven't walked the Camino. Some of them even haven't, go up
Yeah.
to the closest here, Roncesvalles, yes, for the day of the
Mm-mm.
Monte del Perdón. But the other day with one of my dearest friends, it was the first time he hiked all the way up to the Monte del Perdón, and that's like a 2 hours hike from Pamplona. Beautiful hike, and she was a hiker, but never go to the Monte del Perdón. So when was that moment in your life that you were like, maybe I should walk the Camino, maybe I need to hike, maybe is there something else that I need to?
I got a really important story about the Camino, because, okay, let's say that honestly, for me, the Camino was a sort of way for old people who wants to hike something. I'm
And
sorry to
that's
say
a
that.
great way
Yeah.
to put it. It is one of the few hikes in the world that allows all people and any kind.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the magic of the Camino, allows anyone to hike it. As we were talking prior to the interview, you and I are
And that's the,
hikers, and the
yeah.
ER11 or the Pyrenees is not for everyone. You go to the Alps and there's a lot of things that a lot of people can't even, we are talking not only age, but a wheelchair or any kind of disability or even blinded or whatever. But the Camino allows anyone to do it. There's even a movement that is called slow strollers on the Camino. They just walk 10K a day. I'm like, I'm so lucky having 3 months
Yeah,
to finish the Camino, but
that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Everybody can do it. That's the biggest advantage of the Camino. And actually, I planned to walk the Camino with my dad. Uh, and unfortunately, my dad passed away after cancer. And I was like, I don't know, it's always very difficult to go through that loss. And I was quite lost. And I was like, okay, surely my dad will never do that Camino with me. And I didn't feel like doing it alone. because I was, a hiker.
Mhm.
And I was like, this is for old people. But fine. But at some point I was like, sorry, but fuck off. I want to
Uh,
do it, I want to do it because it helped me probably a lot to pass over and go through that big deep sorrow that I was, pulling behind me every day, and I couldn't, let it go. So it was probably the best way for me to create new memories with my dad, who, you know, uh, passed away in a really, it's very sad. Cancer is a horrible sickness.
mhm.
So it was like a beautiful way to create new memories. And I'm so glad that I have done it. And it was the idea of my dad first. It wasn't mine. And so thank you for that idea.
So your dad
It was
proposed
so
to
beautiful.
walk the Camino. Were you want to be walking from France? Were you what kind of
Yeah.
Camino did you have planned?
We did plan to, we didn't really, it's another idea that you get and you throw it, and say like, one day
One
we
day we
will do it.
will.
One day we will. And finally you don't do it because this or that, or you're too old, or you're sick, or you moved. There's so
Mhm.
many reasons we're not doing thing.
Yeah.
And because, and first, the first reason is because we said later.
Yeah, that's one of the worst. And yeah, and also, I think, and I was talking with this the other day with someone, things that we have so close to our hometown or in our lives, like the Camino, that for us is something that we give for granted.
Yeah,
One, they're taken away, it's like your dad. My dad passed away from cancer, and we don't value things until they're taken away from us. And sometimes it needs to bad
exactly.
things to happen to give value to things that they're so close to us that I don't know. The other day I was talking with my friends. I want to go travel to Japan, to the Kumano Kodo, do the Via Francigena, but there's so much to do here in Spain that I haven't done that I will say, oh, later. When I get older. And the other day we say
Yeah.
that same phrase. When I get older, I will do things that they are around my house or things that they are around my state. But sometimes,
Yeah, I think we should. I just think that when we get an idea like that, we should just catch it, and do it.
mhm,
If we can, obviously, but we always can if we want really do
yeah.
something. So we were always saying like later, 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 and yeah, we shouldn't push thing later.
Yeah, but I think the Camino also has that way to call. In your case was, you weren't doing the
Yeah.
Camino with your dad in a way, but you were doing do it the Camino with your dad in a higher way, no? As you say it, I'm like,
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, because actually, I feel like I did walk the Camino with my dad, with the ghost of my dad in a certain way. That was weird, but seriously, I love that weirdness, It was a way for me to, I don't know, do a last thing with them, a last, because we were both um, nature lovers and sort of gypsy people, we love we love go on a hike and I don't know, yeah, that was just the last trip together. So,
well,
and it helped me to, yeah, to let it go.
and a
And
lot of people, I think, they go like that, and people don't many times think no, but you can get the Camino and walk the Camino in memoriam. Once you get to your
oh yeah.
Compostela, you can get it
Hmm.
in the name of someone that has passed away. So
Yeah,
at the end, even
I
the
did.
church and even Santiago recognize that you can walk the Camino for someone else that is not there. So, and this
Hmm.
has been done for many years. In the old days, people would walk the Camino for, and I think it's so beautiful because a lot of people they get and I think that's also part of the Camino that you get time alone and whatever you believe or not, there's people walking with you.
Yeah, yeah. I felt really weird because I wanted to ask when I went to get my Compostela, I wanted to ask for put the name of my dad on the paper, and I was like, oh my god, this is so weird. So I didn't. But next time I will walk the Camino, I
You
definitely
know
will
that
do that.
you don't have to. You can send them an email and they will send you a Compostela in the name of your
Oh,
dad.
really?
Yes.
Oh my
And if you
god, I
have any
didn't know
problem, we will
that.
help you. And yeah, they do it. You can, I didn't know that it was a possibility, but this happens. You explain everything, and they will probably send you the Compostela in memoriam.
Oh, that's great. Well, I would be really happy with this.
We'll have to get back once you get your next Compostela. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit. This happened in your life is horrible, but as we said, the Camino has that way of calling you, and sometimes it's with a phone call, sometimes it's with an open hand and a slap in your face, and sometimes it's with a kick in the butt. But I don't know
Yeah.
why we all have that different trigger that finally gets you into the Camino. So I guess it's the own way of calling us. And so, but your Camino is quite different. You didn't went to the Camino on a normal year. You went on a COVID year during the summer.
Yeah.
And also you didn't went with a plan of just walking the whole Camino. So tell us a little bit, how did you plan, or how did you didn't plan about your whole experience of the Camino?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm not a big planner. Let's say that. I used to don't plan my trip just because I'm not very good at planning. And sometimes even when I plan, I just forget about my plan and I do something else. So,
It's always
I
good to
did,
have a plan, so not to do it.
yeah. But here for the Camino, I started playing. I remember in that actually in my journal that I got here, I started playing all my, the steps. And, I closed the journal, started walk from Toulouse. And when I arrived in Lourdes, I was like, oh my God, I twisted my ankle. So I just didn't take the right path. And I opened back my journal. And I was like, oh no, this is where I wanted to go. So great. So weird, but yeah, it really happened as I wanted to. So yes, I didn't plan anything, but I'm glad I didn't, because I go with the flow, and I think that's what makes it beautiful.
So one of the things that many people don't know is, like, first of all, you travel with your little dog, as we talked at the beginning. So
Yeah.
that means, they have to
Mm-hmm.
carry extra gear. But for people that don't see you here, and that was something that you specify in the email, you're a really tiny person.
I'm a tiny person. Yeah.
So, but you have a huge backpack for your Camino, because you travel with your cooking stuff, with cooking gear, you travel
Mm-hmm.
with your
Yeah.
tent, plus all the gear for your dog. And we know
Yeah.
you didn't carry your piano or your guitar, but almost.
No.
So usually the average, they say in all these Camino forums and everywhere, people say like the 10% rule. And it's like, blah, blah, blah. Like, super important. 10% rule for me will be 7 kilos. My Camino, I was like 10, 11. And I also
Yeah.
was stupid on my first Camino. Now I carry less things, but just because I know. And I carry a lot of very, very few clothing, because I don't even wear underwear. I go the running shoes,
Oh.
running shorts, and perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but in your case, how many kilos was your backpack?
I'm ashamed to say it. No, my backpack was between 15 and 17 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that approximately. It was,
So that for the
yeah,
10% rule, how many times goes over the 10% rule?
more than three, because I'm 50 kilos, so
I love
one
it
meter
because
50,
I
1
love it
meter
because
50.
a lot of times, and that's when everybody starts talking, to walk the Camino, you need a small backpack. To know the Camino, you need walking stick. To walk the Camino, you need sneakers, boots. I'm like, no, try your own, find
No,
your own. For you, 15
exactly.
kilos was probably perfect. For any other woman, it's totally crazy to walk with 50 kilos. Don't do it unless you are prepared. But you're a hiker and you know what you were doing. And if not, the Camino will tell you, and you will start dropping gear all
Yeah,
the way.
yeah,
But
yeah. That was big, but I felt it was the price. Let's say the weight of my security and tranquility.
mhm,
Let's
yeah.
say that. Yeah,
I think
and
the first time we all go for that, we carry all the stuff that things, gave us that safety. And also this time, and for you,
safety.
you didn't know if you want to be able to be in an albergue, you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to eat. In a
Mm-mm.
normal year, that wouldn't happen. And
No,
also
I wouldn't
traveling with
take
your
that
dog.
much. But
Hmm.
here I wanted to be like, yeah, safe and able to eat and sleep wherever I wanted to. And also when I was in Toulouse, like the first woman I met who gave me my first stamp was like, oh my God, you are walking in the COVID with a dog. It's impossible. She was like scaring me so much. And I was like, okay, I should leave the place because it's going to discourage me. She wasn't really enthusiastic about it. But finally, I made it. I made it.
Here you
So
are.
don't listen, people. Yeah, don't listen, people. sometimes it's same for the stick, the stick for walking, you know, and the
Yeah.
5% rule. It's, yeah, make your own rule. I would say that.
At least I say try it, you know, and that's the
Try
beauty
it.
of
Yeah,
traveling
exactly.
in Europe. The good thing is, like, if you fail, there's always a train, a bus, a taxi. You are safe. There's nothing
Exactly.
that's going to happen. So if
So
you're
safe.
hiking the
So
Pyrenees,
safe.
don't try. Or you're hiking, you know,
Mm.
in Africa or in the Alps, don't
Yeah.
try, because there you can die. But
Hmm.
hiking any of the caminos in Europe, give it a try. There's nothing to
It's the
lose.
safest place.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So tell us, talking about your gear, what will be something that you wouldn't carry again? And what is something that you were super lucky that you put in your backpack?
Okay. First, I have to say that I sent back some stuff on the way after the third day because I wanted for some reason bring a camera. Let I don't know why, but I wanted to record some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like after the third day, I just put it in a box and send it back home. So that's the thing that I wouldn't take with me again because it
Yeah.
cost me money to send it back, and it wasn't that heavy, but you know, not heavy plus not heavy
Yeah.
plus not heavy makes it heavy at the
Yeah.
end.
A lot of small things at
So
the end add up.
yeah, yeah, I bring with me some stuff, you know, little cream or you know, being a girl, but it wasn't really useful. So I wouldn't recommend extra cream. Like
Yeah.
one cream is
And you can
enough.
always buy it. That's one of the beauties of the Camino, that if you
Yeah,
need
you can buy
anything,
it.
there is always a supermarket on the next village. And if they don't
Yeah,
have it, you will have another one the next day.
yeah. No,
And
that's
something
true.
that you were super lucky, that something that is, you know, different, or something that you were happy that you carry.
My tent.
Okay.
Yeah, I was happy to carry my tent. No, I think the extra thing that I was happy to bring with me was my journal. Really,
Okay.
because I'm happy now that I got it. Because I would probably forget a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that I put in my journal.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So what kind of tent do you carry?
Oh my god, I got a. It's not even a tent. Seriously, I don't even know how normal people sleep in this because I think it's tiny. It's a Minima Camp One.
Okay.
It's a Camp Minima One. So it's very one place, one person tent, and I just have the space for me, my dog, and my bag, and I feel I can't even sit inside. You know, it's like
Yeah, one of those. Yeah, that you. It's they're super tiny, not even really
yeah.
high.
So it's very tiny, but it's also very light. It's less
Mm-hmm.
than 1 kilo. Uh, so that was really useful.
Yeah, that's one of the things, that if you're thinking about doing the Camino with a tent, don't go for a normal, you know,
Oh
decathlon
no,
3-4 kilos tent, unless there is a couple and you can split
no,
the things.
no, no,
But
no.
enjoy and put some money into a good tent. But because the good thing about these tents and the gear is that they will last forever. At least, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh, that's
they're
true. Like
expensive,
good
but
gear.
yeah,
That's true. That's the bad point, but it's also very useful to
yeah.
have
Not
ultra light
Yeah. And
gear.
now when you get in our life and, you know, in your age, if you're 15, don't spend 200 euros on a tent. But if you're on a normal age and you travel, I have my own
Yeah.
minimal tent, and I think it's worth every
Oh,
penny.
really?
Like the
Yeah.
cooking gear, I have one of those pots that is the jet boil. I don't know if you know the jet boil.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I know the jade bowl. I don't have one, but yeah, I
As
know it's
another
super
stupid
useful.
thing, it's 150 euros cooking stove, but it gets water boiling in less than 1 minute. And for one
Yeah, it's
person, it's
super
perfect because it
quick.
has a mag that is super comfortable. So
Yeah.
for me, for one
Mm-mm.
person pasta, perfect. And what
Yeah,
happened
that's
with
great.
your with little buddy, the four-legged friend, with your dog? How did you plan with your
Oh my
dog? Because I'm like, that's such a tiny dog walking the
God.
Camino. I'm like, we don't see many.
Yeah, Scott, viens là, viens, come here. Yeah, he don't want.
Oh,
He's
he's
shy.
bilingual too.
Yeah, of course. um,
Bonjour, mon ami.
yeah. Scott, viens, viens. he was. He's very good at walking. You know. Hey, hello.
Oh, he
He was
is the
like,
same as my friend Turismo Canino. I need to introduce you
really?
both. Yeah, they're super similar.
Oh yeah, they're a very good dog, and he was absolutely, you know, wonderful all along the way. He's awesome. Seriously, he's awesome. Because I think for me it was hard, but for him it was probably, I don't know if it was harder, but he's tiny, he got little legs, but he got a better cardio than me. Definitely.
Did you plan or
So
train in any way? Did you take him to the bed? Did you do anything different?
so in the train I had to buy
Oh,
oh
yeah,
I
mouthwar. Yep.
yeah, I remember I don't remember the name in Spanish, but I know that I looked for that word for so long because nobody was understanding what I wanted.
Yeah, in Spanish is bozal.
Bozal, exactly. Bozal. So I was looking for Bozal for a long time because I couldn't take the train without it, and the bus I had to hide
Yeah.
him. Sorry, but one time to take the bus. Um, but yeah, it's quite different with the dog, but it's also so much better. You're never alone, and yeah, it was very supportive. Even if it's not, if a dog can't be supportive, it's a big support.
Mhm. And one of the things also that makes your Camino so different is that a lot of people, when they think Camino, they think going from one point to the other, walking all the time.
Mhm.
And in your case, we know that that wasn't the case. You created your own version of your Camino. So tell us a little bit, or how did it come? Did you plan? There was something that, oh, suddenly I'm here. I want to go here. Why not? Why? What happened in your Camino?
What happened is that I get an injury. First of all, that's why I started to take the bus, because I was as everyone. And when I started, I was like, no, I want to walk the Camino from the start to the end, and I was really stubborn about it. But on the, I was like, you're not a real pilgrim if you're not walking the Camino. I've been that way when I started the Camino. And on the third day, I injured my Achilles, my heel. So I was like, okay, I can't put my foot on the floor. I can't walk right now. I got my 17 kilos backpack, my dog. Uh, what should I do? And I was looking around me and I was like, okay, there is a bus station here. So I'm gonna take the bus to Lourdes.
Mhm.
So I did take the bus to Lourdes. And in Lourdes, I stayed 2 days there. Um, I had my horrible nights sleeping in an hotel with bed bugs. And after that, I met a guy who was the owner of a sport, because I had to throw my trainers because I couldn't wash it. And I was like, okay, I can't continue the way after having I've had a night, with bed bugs and don't be able to wash my trainers. So I have to throw it away and buy new ones. So I met the owner of the sports shop, who sell me my new shoes. And he was like, oh, if you want, you can sleep in my home. And I was like, okay, all right. So I stayed for 3 or 4 days there, healing from my injury. And after that, I started to walk again through the Pyrenees, and I went in all around. And every time my ankle was painful, I had to take the train or take the bus. So I was just like mixing between walking, and because I wanted to go forward and continue the way, because I just had 2 months
Mhm.
to complete my goal actually, and I wanted to go absolutely until the end. For some reason, I knew that it's not the point. I think you can have a beautiful experience with that finishing in Santiago,
Mhm.
uh, but I wanted absolutely to go there. I wanted. So I was like, okay, I have to move forward. Um, however, however, if I have to take the train or take the bus, or when I can walk, I walked, obviously, and I'm also a woman, so sometimes, you got weeks in your month, or you're not really in 100% of your capacity. You're absolutely exhausted. The only thing you want to do is stay in your bed with tea and a Netflix TV show. So for these days, I was like, okay, no, I'm not gonna walk 20 And I think
You're
you
the
have to be
first
a little bit,
you are the first woman that point that out, and I never thought about it. That
yeah,
really there is some days that you never
yeah.
thought about it. I'm sorry.
What? No, that's true. When you're in your period, when you're a real woman, you have to give you a little bit of compassion,
Hmm.
and a
And
bit
that
of
sucks. I
rest.
can imagine being with your friends and walking the
Yeah,
Camino, and if you have to leave them behind,
yeah,
or being with your plan, and like, wow.
yeah. So I was like, okay, give up with this stupid idea of walking,
Hmm.
whatever happened, and being super tough. Whatever. Keep it like, I don't know, take it easy, take it easy and try to enjoy it because it was hard enough. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah. And sometimes my dog had also to take a rest too because it's quite hard for him either. He had like his little
Yeah,
paws.
pause.
Oh my God, all red and probably painful. So,
And at
yeah.
the end, that's why we were talking. The end, if you're truthfully full yourself, I seen people that walk the Camino and they take a train, just feeling that they are cheating, and then not
Yeah.
even being. But in your case, I'm like, what you did. You did it because you wanted to do it. It wasn't cheating. It was just your own Camino. So
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. At first, I was quite ashamed, and
probably,
I was
yeah.
like, "Oh, you're cheating. That's not good." Blah blah blah. And I was constantly like being super hard with myself. And
Hmm.
I think the Camino taught me that too, because I'm quite hard with myself all the time.
Hmm.
I'm so hard. So it also taught me to be a little bit, yeah, cooler, take it easier, and don't be that hard with yourself.
Hmm.
I did walk the Camino. I walked more than, I don't know, between, let's say, 400 and 500 kilometers in total, I would say.
Hmm.
And I'm not really sure even, I mean, at
And
least.
at the end, for me,
Yeah.
it's like that. Does it matter how many
No,
K? Is
no,
this
no.
a when
Like,
people talk about like
seriously,
I walk K's, I walk from here? I'm like, and what did
it's
you
not a
learn?
race. It's not a race,
That's. Mhm.
seriously. And I that was funny because it's the only pilgrim I met like that on the way, and he was like, super ready for. And in
Yeah.
the morning, we woke up actually quite at the same time, and at 8:30 he was ready with his super light bag of 2
8:30. That's
kilos.
late on a normal year. We usually, in a normal year, people wake up
Yeah,
like at
yeah,
5:30 in the morning to run to the
yeah.
other
That's
albergue.
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I know. I heard about that. I was like, oh my God. I'm a lazy head, I'm a sleepy head in the mornings. So, and he was super, super excited to tell me that I was in late, or something
Mhm.
like that. That was weird. He took it as a race. And I was like, okay, man, go on. No problem. Leave your thing. He just had a week. So he wanted probably to go, go, go.
Yeah.
Uh, but I had 2 months, like a month and a half, and I had my big bag and my dog, so I always had to pack and unpack everything. So I couldn't be that fast, and I didn't want it to be that fast. I didn't want it to put any pressure on me.
Mhm.
So, and I'm happy I didn't, because he was so much better. Sometimes I started, okay, let's say it at 11. Sometimes I started my day at 11, and I don't care,
Mhm.
because that was the way I wanted to do it.
And also doing it during this time, it allows you to do it that way. If you probably try that in a normal French year and in the summer, there's no way you get into the rush of everyone else. But
Yeah.
going with the time with your dog and the actual situation allows you to do it that way. So how was also like you sleep in all kind of places, from your sleep bag to a hotel to an albergue? How was the train? All of them, I always, a lot of people, they think that you can only do the Camino or all hotels or all albergues or in a tent. How was the mixing it all up?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it because actually I've done, I don't know how many different. Okay, first of all, I've done couch
Couch
surfing,
surfing,
because
okay.
people offered me
Their house, yeah.
overnight, their house. Hostel, dog friendly hostel, albergue, and tent. So that was the
Well,
four
you do
different.
the guites in France, that they're quite different. The Spanish albergue in a way. There's usually people
Oh
that where
yeah,
they say that
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
quite different style. It's more like a bed and breakfast that some of the albergues over here, no? Some of them.
For me, what it was, I would say the albergue reality was really like, beds, beds,
Hmm.
beds, 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 and all the kitchens. Most of the time they were kind of closed, but
Yeah.
the owner come and just open it to us. The kitchen were closed, and there was just the beds. So that
Hmm.
was enough. We didn't. But I was really happy that I had my stove because I could cook outside. Um, so yeah, I've done all of these different sort of accommodation, and that was a really good mix for me because sometimes you want to be quiet, and alone. And as we said, as a woman, sometimes you just want to be, in a comfy bed, and you don't
As
want
a
to
man,
speak
I
to
also want my,
people.
my real shower, my bed, and just be laying there
Yeah,
with two really good pillows and.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there is no problem with that.
Mhm.
Like I don't know why we always want to go in the hard way.
And it's funny because as we're
That,
talking at the beginning, the Camino de Santiago allows you to do everything. I'm like, really, there's no really hard way in the Camino. It's not like you have to do your own
no.
bivouac and make a
Yes.
cave in the snow or anything. That's
No.
real backpacking or hiking or going,
Yeah.
to the Alps. I'm like, the Camino allows you to have that freedom. So if you have
Yeah.
the money, yeah, and if you want it, I always say, why not experience a nice hotel every
Yes.
once in a while, get a
No
massage,
problem
like
with
you get a
that.
good meal. I'm like, you're also
Uh,
doing some way of tourism. So if you come to Spain from all over the world, also discover some of the good things here. Not just try only the albergues. I'm like, there's some albergues that they're amazing, but there's some albergues that they are horrible. So if you can
I
and you
really,
can spend, I'm like, why not?
yeah. I've been lucky with the albergue because they were all great, and yeah, I think there is no problem about taking a good time.
Mhm.
Seriously, your body is in pain. You're doing something incredible, but quite hard because walking that much is quite hard for your body. So
Mhm.
take some rest, no problem. He offer you some comfort if you want to,
Mhm.
and if you don't. That's
Yeah,
okay.
that you have the option. So we were saying that at the beginning, you planned to go the Camino with your dad, but at the end it wasn't possible. How was the
Hmm.
Camino? Did you find out any day that you were walking with your dad? What kind of memories brought back to you?
Oh my God. I had this memory in Andai, so at the border of Spain, like in the middle, right in the middle between Andai and Irun.
Hmm.
There is like this huge
Yeah,
beach
on the
that you
Rivi.
can, yeah, exactly. And I was like, I wanted to walk there just because I wanted to go in Irun, just to cross the border by feet. And I did left I was in a camping that night because I couldn't camp in
Yeah,
nature
inside the city.
nature
Yeah.
yeah, inside the city. So I take a camping, so I put my tent there, and I was walking through the beach, and I wanted to go in Spain. And I was thinking about my dad, blah blah blah, and I was remembering all these things. And I left a little picture, of him right here because my dad was a huge fan of sea and ocean in general, and I just wanted to left like that photo here. Like the sea was really low, so you could
Hmm.
really go far on the beach, and I left out the picture of my dad right here, and that's the first memory I got on the way about my dad. But probably the most beautiful was in the Pyrenean because I did work really, really hard that day. And I met some French people, and I was hitchhiking, and they picked me up because it was all on the asphalt.
Hmm.
There is no pass. It was on the road, and they picked me up in the van, and we stopped by the lake. And my feet were really, I had swollen, feet,
Hmm.
and my legs were heavy, all that stuff. So I go take a bath in the lake. The lake was so cold, and I was standing in the water like that, and there's like this little fish coming to eat my
Your
feet,
skin.
my skin.
Some people pay
There
for
was
that.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fish spa like for free, and that was fun because I was doing this with my dad being a kid and in the sea, and I was like, oh my god, that's so beautiful. It never happened to me for years and years, and like I'm
Mm.
doing the Camino right now, and that thing happened to me, and I had all this little fish eating my my dead skin. That was so funny. That was so funny. Yeah, and it made me smile a lot.
That's so cool. And anyway, we always also, when your Camino, when you did so many, as we were talking, you take the train, you take a BlaBlaCar. What was the places that you have, greatest memories of your whole Camino?
Um, I would say that the greatest memory was the last part, because when I arrived in Ferrol, I could tell that I had enough time to stop hitchhiking, stop taking the bus. I could just walk all along and stop trying to, go faster, because I was walking between this, between obviously Ferrol and Irun. I did walk, but it's a long way. Seriously, it's a very long way, and I didn't want it to be in late, and I wanted to finish. So when I arrived in, it was maybe it was Oviedo, but let's say between Ferrol and Santiago. Yeah, I was like, okay, now I can stop definitely and just walk. I had way enough time.
That happens a lot of people when you start. You is the unknown. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I have all the time, but once you realize that, okay, now I know that I can make it. No, that's when you feel more free and more relaxed too. Whatever happens,
exactly.
I'm gonna make it.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever I'm gonna make it, and I have to make it because I want to make it. So, and it was, I don't know, it was so different. It was like a second Santiago in my first Santiago, because all along the way I've been, let's say it, quite grumpy, quite.
And that's okay. No, you don't have to be all happy sometimes. It's just being grumpy. It's okay. And
I wasn't having fun. It wasn't fun. I was, oh my God, what am I doing here? This is so hard. I'm like outside. It's rainy and I'm wet and my body's in pain. This is not fun. And I started to have fun in Ferrol. Seriously.
Okay.
I had fun before, but I had fun like all along the way. On the Camino Inglés. Like the Camino Inglés was best. Seriously, from me.
And also, as you were saying, prior to the interview, and you have a blog for women traveling alone, and a lot of people right now, a lot of people ask about how is the Camino Frances, for women, or the Camino de Santiago or Spain. And I discovered a while ago that the National Geographic gave the Camino Frances one of the safest places in the world to travel as a single woman traveling alone. So from your point of perspective, you've been backpacking all over and you've been traveling along. So how is your, for in a year that was the COVID, less people walking, maybe a little more dangerous, not dangerous, but more unknown, no? How was the experience of being a woman and travel? And like, did you still feel safe all the time? Was there any problem?
For me, I felt safe. It's the safest, seriously. I can't even think about one thing, feeling in danger or it's absolutely safe. You got people everywhere. It's always like you're at home, and the thing that I'm thinking is like, for us, being out of your home is it could be dangerous, or it could be, out of your zone of comfort, but being somewhere else is being in the home of someone else, it's so we're always really scared about that, but sometimes you just have to change your point of view. And Santiago is probably a good way to start traveling alone if you're a woman, for example, and you're worried about that. I would highly recommend to walk the Camino. It's a great experience.
I think as a first time, if you are opening to the world and traveling, probably there's no, I don't think there's any other place safest in the world than the Camino de Santiago. I'm like,
it's so safe.
And like, things have happened, and if you review, there's been,
I'm sure
that happened, but any town, anywhere in the world, and as you say, the Camino, there's so many people looking out for you, and the measures that are there, and the welcome that people gave you in any way, it's always incredible. So I just like, for you to point it out, it's great.
Yeah, I heard about a woman actually. She was sleeping. She was doing the Camino, obviously, but she was only sleeping in a sleeping bag outside, without a tent, without anything, just a sleeping bag, like on the side of the road. And I was like, okay, I do travel alone. I was like, oh my God, girl, this is okay, no problem. But she was okay, and she's still doing the way that the Camino that way.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Hombre,
you have to be, you have to, yeah. I mean, you have to pay attention, but this is everywhere
yeah.
in your city, as it's the same,
And as you're listening, and if you're, backpacking or sleeping in a bag, there is some rules that you have to follow. One day we will do a how to backpack and, in a tent in the Camino, because a lot of people, they never been, backpacking like you and I am. Like, there's few rules that you need to know where to put the tent. And also there is a
Yeah.
couple laws that in Spain doesn't allow you to put a tent anywhere you want, and you can get a fine. And like, you're supposed to put your tent when the sun goes down, and you need to put your tent up when the sun goes up, because if no, that's considered, overnight, kind of like be back. But if you put the tent earlier, that's considered camping, and you cannot camp in Spain other than in camping areas. So there's a couple of rules, and also the police is super welcoming. I never heard anyone that have a problem. They will explain to you. But as you say, don't sleep close to a road ever in your life. Don't sleep close to a river, because the rivers can go up. So a few rules that is just common sense, but there's a lot of things out there. And
no, that's true.
Finally, you say the Camino Inglés was incredible, but how was the arrival into Santiago, the famous arrival into your destination?
Well, I don't know if I can say that. I don't want to discourage.
Of course.
Well, it wasn't exactly how I expected it. I had this big fantasy about arriving in Santiago, and I can't really remember what I was dreaming about, because it was totally different. It was raining, and I was wet, and I was tired, and I was just kind of disappointed because they were doing some sort of renovation and cathedral, so I couldn't really see it. But in the same time, it wasn't bad and it wasn't good. It was just I was arrived, and I was happy to arrive, and at the same time I was sad because I knew that it was the end. And for so many reasons, I was like, okay, that's the end of the Camino. Well, I'm happy to not walk anymore, but in the same time, I'm sad because I know that's the end of my trip with my dad and my trip in general. So I stayed. I remember that when I arrived in Santiago, I put my phone, in the exact same place that everyone does, and trying to take a photo with the cathedral behind me. And I was jumping in the air, trying to take a good photo, and they were all horrible, and my dog was barking at me. And at the end, I just took a photo when I was asking my dog to give him his paw. And that's the most beautiful photo, just to calm him down. And finally, it was the most beautiful photo. And it was just, hey, bitch, I've walked the Camino too, so I want to be on the photo.
One day we'll have to interview all the dogs that walk the Camino with their owners, and it will be amazing to see what they think about these crazy people taking them to the Camino.
Yeah, they probably have many things to say. Yeah. In Camino, arriving in Santiago was great. I stayed 3 days, and actually, it's not a publicity or whatever, but there is a girl doing vegan cakes and pastries. Her name is like Alice in Wonder Pie.
Oh,
she's she's so talented, really. It's not.
And that's what I always say,
I'm not vegan, but
if not being vegan and loving something that is vegan, that says a lot. God. That's the best marketing you can get from a vegan place.
Yeah, I was walking by, the shop, and I've seen the cakes, and I was like, after a month and a half on the Camino, I've seen all these beautiful cakes with the cream and the strawberries and all that stuff, and I was like, oh my God, that looks so good. When she said me that it was vegan, I was like, no, it doesn't matter, I want it. And I just had a beautiful, sweet meal in my hotel room, and it was so good. So go to see Alice in Wonder Pie at the end of your Camino. That's beautiful. You will have a good time.
We'll have to interview, because one of the things a lot of people ask us, and as we say, now people walking with dogs, people walking with families. There is also more people walking the Camino vegan. There's more people also walking the Camino vegetarian. And being vegan and vegetarian in Spain is quite easily, but we also eat a ton of meat. So you just need to ask. And every village and every place they're gonna, we have veggies incredible, and all the Camino, everything is grown here. So for international people, I remember one of my friends, after living in the States, they were asking me, how do you know this thing in the supermarket is fresh? I'm like, because everything is fresh here. I'm like, comes from like 5K from here. It doesn't need a sticker.
Yeah.
So it's funny about that. So what is next? What is going to happen? Are you planning more Caminos, more trips, more Caminos to Santiago, different Caminos?
Oh, I definitely think that that's sure. I'm gonna walk the Camino again. I don't know which one, but I want to do the last part, as we said earlier, walking
To
to
Fisterra and Muxía.
Finisterra and go to the spa that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, for the ones that don't know, the Paradorios is the network or hotels that use like really old buildings or churches in Spain. The famous one in Santiago is the Parador de Santiago. It's this one on this side, on the right side, the hotel that, for people that don't know, if you're one of the first 10 pilgrims getting the Compostela in the morning, you get a free meal with your Compostela.
Ow.
So they don't know that one?
No.
So for a lot of ones, the trick is not getting the Compostela on the day you arrive, and next day, wake up early, and a lot of people go there to get the that's cheating, but a lot of people do it, and it's fun because you share, a meal with some people in a place that is, it's quite expensive to stay there. They have a normal restaurant that is really worth it. And as I said, if you're coming from abroad, from Australia or the States or anywhere far away, the Paradores Nacionales are incredible. They are super fancy hotels, but they're beautiful. But they just opened a new one in Muxía. And Muxía was the place where the Prestige, the big ships swing with the petroleum and everything. So the government of Spain put over there a hotel that has been stopped for many years for regulations, but they just finished it. So it's called the Parador Costa da Morte. And if I have to finish my Camino in a place that is, there's a couple other places in Finisterre that are incredible, but this one is unbelievable. I'm like, it is 150 euros a night, but one of those places that if you have to put, the little tick to your trip, and if you can afford it.
Yeah.
If not, there's beautiful places in Muxía, albergues
and
I'm
everything.
Sure. But this place it's out of it's just opened last year.
Good,
so
finish your trip with a, cherry and cake.
A good meal. And over there, there's also a great restaurant in Muxía. If you like, seafood, never tried anything better in my whole life. So if you need more info, just ask.
Well, I hope you will send me that list.
Of course, yeah. Whenever you're ready to cross the Camino, and let's hope next time, you can cross by in Pamplona, and we can go, I always say, and invite everyone that is listening to us. If you go by in Pamplona, if you need any help, we are here to help you. I love to take pilgrims into the bars and go for tapas once they allow us again to go and drink some tapas. And there's no better way to visit a town with some locals. So I always say, if you're doing the Camino, just reach to people on the Camino, go to their Instagram. Everybody's super welcome, and all the pilgrims there, they're amazing, and they will open their houses and their hearts and everything. So it's the best way of the Camino, It's all about the people.
Oh yeah, definitely. That would be a pleasure.
Anyway, Gaelle, thank you so much for opening your heart and for opening your Camino to us, and for being, so proud about your Camino. And I think it's deserved, and it is your Camino, and that's the beauty of it. And no one else can walk your Camino unless, it walks in your own foot, in your own shoes. And in your case, you have to throw it away on the first day. So that says a lot of how things, when things happen, you just need to go improvise, and whatever you do it, if you're happy with it, it's great.
Yeah, thank you to you. Thank you to care about people like us. We always think that it's just a tiny thing that we do. We're quite hiding and doing a little walk like that, but it's a big thing, and I really encourage everyone to go walk on the Camino. It's a great experience, and thank you for you. Thank you for that.
No, thank you, because at the end, that's what I think, that now more girls, more women that are listening to us, and more men also that, they're thinking, I'm like, maybe I'm not the one walking the Camino because I cannot walk all the days, but I want to do a longer version. It's great to grab a taxi. It's no problem to grab a car. You can do it, in an albergue, you can do it in a tent, and you can do it in all of them. It is your own Camino. Don't let any blog, any YouTuber, any Instagram, any friend to tell you that there is no way. Is your Camino. You decide. At the end, you are the one that is going to be, looking back and saying, I took a train back, but I couldn't walk. So if you feel bad about it, that's when you're going to realize. But if you couldn't, I'm like, why not?
As long as you're proud of it, and that's the biggest thing, I think. Do it your way.
Do it your own way. And that's it. Anyway, thank you so much. And as we always say, buen camino,
so much.
ultrella.
Buen camino, ultrella.